Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and a game between Cytoplasm versus WhiteRa here on Belshire Beach, obviously the Winter Edition. WhiteRa spawning as the red Protoss player here at the 4 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Cytoplasm spawning as the purple Zerg here at the 10 o'clock position. Only 2 spawning locations, so both of these players already know where the other is, and now just needs to start some scouting. Excuse me. Yeah, made a promise to never drink soda right before I cast, but apparently I forgot that promise. I made that promise a couple months back, and I was thirsty. There's a good Dr. Pepper, and well, I apologize. Cytoplasm looks like he will be going for, what is this, a 9 pool. So Cytoplasm opting to go for a 9 pool here. Interesting strategy. We'll see how it's going to pay off and what he's actually going to try to do with this. Meanwhile, we already see a probe coming in from WhiteRa. WhiteRa will be able to scout out his opponent very, very quickly, and based upon the timing of Cytoplasm's spawning pool, he may forego a couple of probes in order to get a faster forge. He is really going to need that faster forge. He sees that the spawning pool is already down. He most likely knows that something strange is going on here. Going to be coming back over. Is he going to go ahead and cancel? Yes, he did cancel a couple of the probes that he had queued up here. Just trading up this last probe, and now already getting that forge on the front door. So a forge first, nothing too out of the ordinary. But WhiteRa may be in a little bit of trouble as Zerglings are already being trained. The probe now just wandering around here. It does take 24 seconds for a Zergling to be trained. Gateway is now being added as well. You can see that there's a little bit of room right there. Another gateway will need to be added, and I believe that WhiteRa is not going to be going for any more probes. He needs to get up a photon cannon. There's that photon cannon there. He needs to get up another gateway, most likely opting to go for another pylon as well, as the Zerglings are already on their way. 6 Zerglings now making a quick run across the map. Where are they going to go is the key question here. Are we going to be getting another gateway? I would assume that we would be getting a gateway here and then trying to hold position on the probe here. The probe is now trying to come in. There's the gateway and there's the pylon, and now the Zerglings are trying to poke away at this one gateway. Beautiful, beautiful play as WhiteRa is able to hold off this front door. A beautiful play, and now we are going to see a cancellation on the probe. Oh, what is going to go down here? The Zerglings and the probes are able to barely slip by, and a little bit of a misstep by WhiteRa. Oh, a huge misstep there. That pylon was canceled, but now we're going to see 4 Zerglings on the inside here. These probes will be forced to try to fight back all of these Zerglings. 1 Zealot will be added as well, as the Zerglings now going to town onto some of these probes. Probes have taken a little bit of damage. Both sides are still battling it out. The probes look like they will come out ahead, as the probes do have a decent movement speed. 1 probe does get taken down, and I believe that is all the real damage there. Harvester count is 17 to 15, but things are actually good for Cytoplasm. Cytoplasm currently setting up his own hatchery here. He is going to have a 1 base advantage. His opponent, WhiteRa, at this point in the game, still does not have a cybernetics core. He's not going to be able to do any early warp gate pressure at all, and Cytoplasm pretty much has a license to drone. Anytime a Zerg player has a license to drone and freely drone, he can get up a very strong economy, especially with the way Inject Larva works and how many units you're able to train per minute. Zealots now making a quick move out across the map, as Cytoplasm is being a little bit risky in trying to take up a quick third. A quick third base, generally not advisable, as a Zealot now, 1 Zealot making its way in, 2 additional Zealots making their way in as well. We are going to have a second Queen now join in on the fight, as the Zealots are now slashing away at this hatchery. It is going to come down to the 2 Queens to get off enough damage here. It looks like one of those injects will come out just in time. It looks like there will also be a little bit of energy as the Queens are now trying to battle it up, taking down one of the Zealots. The Zerglings now need to come in as well. This 1 Queen looks like it will get taken down. A second Queen might get taken down as well, as WhiteRa hoping to hurt the production of Cytoplasm. However, the Queen is now back on creep. It should be able to connect pretty easily. Cytoplasm going to lose another drone there. as the queen now needs to be very careful. More queens need to be trained up. It looks as though this hatchery may be falling, but this hatchery is now nearing completion as the zealots are trying to go to town. Zerglings now coming in, the queen now joining in on the fight, and how much damage can be done? Why did the Zerglings back off? Not 100% sure, waiting for more reinforcements most likely, as the queen now coming back in to re-engage. The queen now needs to take down more and more zealots, as the zealots are putting in a lot of pressure. Down to 354, 300 hit points, 200 hit points now, as the zealots are now chasing after the queen. Are they going to be able to finish off this hatchery? The hatchery still has one zealot working on it. As we see, the Zerglings are still trying to engage. It looks like this hatchery down to 200. Are we going to get a transfusion off perhaps on that hatchery? I think a transfusion already did go down. The Zerglings trying to get even more damage. It looks like this hatchery down to 30, 19, 12, 5 hit points. It does fall as Cytoplasm barely holds on to his queen. The Broodlings really need to engage against the Zealots. Instead, the Broodlings use much of their time life running around, and now Cytoplasm is behind, especially since he did lose that hatchery. But the Zerglings are still filing in from this second or the third base location. It is the second base here. The creep tumors now need to be placed down as well. Cytoplasm going to benefit from this early creep tumor, and if he's able to continue to spread that creep, he should be able to connect these three bases and get some proper macro off of these three bases here. Now, Zerglings are going to try to test that front door, but WhiteRa very much prepared for anything that Cytoplasm could try to do. 3 zealots, 1 photon cannon, more than enough to hold off whatever Cytoplasm tries to do right now. And Cytoplasm, also with so many Zerglings, can't really do anything except for train Banelings. Those Banelings could be able to take down a lot of these doors here. If perhaps you can hit this location right here, you are actually able to hit the photon cannon in the back. The splash damage on a Baneling is very high, and if you can take down these 3 buildings, that would be a very good trade, as this would completely open up the front door, and then it would just be Zealots versus Zerglings and Banelings. It does take a lot of Banelings for an exchange like that though, as now Cytoplasm is macroing back up, getting up a lot of drones. Now sitting up at 33 compared to 41. 16 Zerglings now just being trained. So Cytoplasm looking to really lay down a lot of pressure, much more pressure than I thought he would be trying to go for. I thought he would have perhaps tried to go for a little bit more of a macro play, perhaps set up another hatchery here and rebuild up, and then just try to go into the mid game. So WhiteRa, with a lot of zealots and sentries, may not be able to deal with the sheer number of Banelings that could come into play, as we now see 450 gas for Cytoplasm. You still see one Overlord here able to sit in between these bases, as the Zealots and Sentries are now making their way in. The Zerglings are holding those Zelnaga towers. They are going to spot this army as it moves out, and WhiteRa with the slightly larger army in terms of minerals and gas combination. But now we are going to see a flank here. So the Zerglings out perhaps going to try to flank here and catch a couple of these Stalkers in transit. Oh, they did not spot this. And Cytoplasm with a huge number of Banelings going to be crashing in on that front door. This is going to turn into a base race and a base trade here. WhiteRa now engaging. Let's take a look at the overall army size. As those one queen quickly gets taken down. Banelings now trying to make their way in, and the Banelings are simply just going to bust open. Oh no, unable to bust. Perhaps they should have tried to take out a different building instead. This would have been a much better location, as it would have been able to take down more and more. Cytoplasm really not engaging well at all, as WhiteRa takes the win. Cytoplasm gives the GG here on Belshir Beach. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Stay tuned for Game 2 in this series.